Most people waste their time with dry firing and never actually get better. So today I'm going to go over a quick 10-minute dry fire session that helps me improve my draw, my trigger control, and my overall shooting. It's things you can do at home for free without any live ammo and without any extra cool tools. This is Big Ant. Welcome to Big Ant Tactical. Today, we at the crib. We're not outside. Why are we at the crib, man? Because we're gonna work on a quick 10-minute dry fire session. So when I do go to the range and we have live fire, I'm just confirming what I've been doing at the crib. I do have some variations of what I do with dry fire, but I still stick to 3 things. I wanna work on my draw, I wanna work on my trigger control, and I wanna work on my overall shooting without any ammo. So we're just gonna go over a simple 10-minute routine that everybody can do. All right, now before we get started on this dry fire session, we have to do something that's very important. This is before any dry fire session. You always have to do this. Check your weapon to make sure it is empty. Please remove all ammo from the room, from anywhere near you while you're doing dry fire. No ammo at all. If you have snap caps, that's cool. I'm not using any snap caps today, so there should be nothing in my barrel flying out. So I'll do a quick check real quick. So as you can see, magazine is empty, chamber is empty, nothing in there. All right, I'm gonna drop the slide, point in the safe direction, pull the trigger. All right, everything's clear. Also, my extra magazine is empty as well. All right, so we will work on some reloads. So you wanna make sure everything is clear, everything is empty. All right, I advise having your routine and you stick to that routine before any dry fire practice or cleaning your gun or any of that stuff. So I'm gonna run through mine real quick just to show you what I normally do. So whether I have it on me or it's on the table, I will typically take my gun out, right? And this is a Canik. All Caniks have a chamber indicator. Really all pistols do, and they may be a little different, but for Canik, it's typically here. So if there is a round in the chamber, this little thing will be lifted up. So I see that's flat, right? Okay, cool. Then I also check my loaded chamber indicator on the back. That's down, so my trigger is dead. Okay, the next thing I typically do, I pull the slide back, I release my magazine, I look at my magazine, there's nothing in it. I look away from my gun. I know this sounds crazy, but I look away, and then I look down my barrel. I look away again, put my finger in my barrel. I don't feel anything, I look again. All right, so that's just a process that I do every single time. I don't care if I'm cleaning, if I'm dry firing, do that process. Like, find your process that you do and you do it religiously each time, because it'll be just your look. You think it's clear and it's not. And you have it pointed in an unsafe direction or at yourself, and you pull the trigger and bang. We don't want that, right? So no negligent discharges on this channel, and hopefully anywhere else with anybody else. But the weapon is clear, right? It's ready to go. I check my other magazine as well. All right, that's ready to go. All right, so for drill 1, we're just gonna draw to sight picture. That's our focus there. So I don't wanna go too fast. I'm gonna start off smooth. So I wanna practice moving the garment out the way, establishing my grip, draw close to the body, right? And then I'm going to meet my support hand and I'm going to push out till I see my sights. Again, remove garment, establish a strong grip, draw up, meet with my support hand, and I'm going to drive my pistol straight out, right, till I see my sights. So I'm starting off slow, Slow is fast. Here. Good. There we go. Good. Now, if I start to feel like I'm getting sloppy or something feels off, I need to slow down, do it again. All right, and notice when I'm bringing it back to the place I started pressing from. All right, I'm gonna point my muzzle down, and I'm gonna look my gun into my holster when I reholster. Just remember, you don't have to reholster fast. There's never a contest to see who can reholster their pistol the fastest. That's a quick way to have a negligent discharge or accidentally shoot yourself. Don't do it, all right? Watch what you're holstering, lean back, put it into the holster, all right? It's not a race, okay? Good. On this next drill, we're gonna work on straight trigger press. My voice sounds a little bit deeper because I recorded some of this video last night and I literally just woke up, so I sound like Barry White. Now, what we wanna do during this drill is I wanna make sure on my trigger finger, I am pressing the trigger with the middle of the first part of my finger. So the middle of that pad right there, right on the tip of your trigger finger. So I should not be pressing my trigger with my finger all the way over like this, because that is going to do what? Pull my gun to the right. Or if I have my trigger finger way over here to the right and I press, it's going to push my gun to the left. All right, now that's an over exaggeration of what I'm showing you so you can get the idea. And it might be very minimal, but on paper and on target, when you're shooting live, you'll be able to tell that you shot low left or you are shooting off to the right. All right, some people think it's their sights, but it's really just how they're pressing the trigger. So I'm learning where the wall of my trigger is on my gun, and I'm also learning what that reset feels like. I'm going to establish my grip. Okay, I'm going to press out. All right, on the target. Get against that wall. Now, when I'm doing this, I want to make sure that my dot, or if you're using iron, so your front iron sight is not moving. So you should see little to no movement on your dot. All right, it should just be pulling the trigger straight to the rear. Hear the click, pin the trigger, and then reset your slide. All right, and then you're gonna let off that trigger slow to feel where the reset is. Very simple drill. All right, so now we're going to work on transitions. And when I'm doing transitions, what I want to focus on is I want to get my presentation, right? I want to be on target. Pull my trigger. I want my eyes to go to my next target and my gun to follow, and I want it to stop right where I'm looking at. So my gun should stop where I'm focused on, pull my trigger. Next target, stop, pull my trigger. Okay, so I'm leading with my eyes first and my gun follows. You do not want to have your eyes locked on your red dot at all, or your iron sight, and try to be a robot and go at the same time. Because what's going to happen is you're going to push past your target and pull the trigger, and you're going to either have a miss or a mic, as they call it, or you're going to just overshoot what you intended to hit. So you're going to shoot past it. All right, that's called, well, some people call it, I call it pushing your gun. So you'll end up pushing your gun. So what I want to do is be on target. Got my first shot off. As soon as I pull that trigger and I hear the click, I'm going to my next one with my eyes. Stop, boom, boom, come back, same thing, boom, 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 boom. And I just want to practice doing that. All right, so start off slow. And then if you want to, you can speed up. Now, also when you're doing this, if you speed up, don't start like slapping your trigger. You do not want to slap your trigger. You still want it to be very controlled. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. Very simple. And I'm looking for control. I'm looking for minimal or to no movement on my dot. So I'm focused on my target, but I'm going to see my dot, right? So I shouldn't see it moving around when I press my trigger. And I also shouldn't lose it. Once I break from my first target, I move my eyes. As soon as I drag my gun to where I'm looking, my dot should stop right at what I'm looking at. Find something to do your transitions on that you already have on your wall, or you can put a piece of tape, whatever you want to do, put it on the wall, have you something to point at, and practice transitioning to those different targets. All right, the fourth drill that I always do during dry fire or reloads, these are some things you want to focus on while doing a reload. I want to make sure that once I'm out here, I know I need to reload, right? I press that magazine release, pull that mag out, and I'm bringing my gun into my workspace. So up here, where I'm at, I'm indexing my mag. And the reason I'm doing that is so it'll go in smooth. And this is one motion. So I'm pushing in smooth, right? I'm right there. And then I'm getting my gun back on target, pressing out, and I'm back in business. I'm here, pressed out, boom, I shoot, I go, back on target. Here, boom, workspace. All right, now I'm starting to get a little sloppy. So what I typically do is slow it down a little bit. Because remember, the dry fire, I'm practicing with no stress, right? I just want to get the fundamentals of the movements down, and then you can start to add stress by using a shot timer or trying to speed up, all that stuff. But the most critical thing is this is the time for you to get the functions down. You get used to handling your pistol. You get used to what it should feel like, what it should look like. So that's the most important thing. Also, another thing to talk about with dry fire is you can also develop some really bad habits and keep developing those. So the second type of reload you have is an emergency reload. And that's my slide is locked back. I'm out of ammunition clearly. All right, so similar movements. The only thing is now I need to drop my slide. Some people drop it with their support hand. If you can reach your slide release, you can drop it with this hand. So whatever you choose to do or what works for you, that's the method you want to practice. That's the method you want to get good with, okay? So for me, I typically just drop my slide with my shooting hand. All right, that works for me, so that's what I do. If you can't do that or your fingers can't reach it for whatever reason, you can drop it with this finger. So I'm out here, right? Boom, I'm empty. I'm gonna drop, get into my workspace. I index my magazine, push it in one movement. I'm gonna drop, now drop. All right, drop my slide. I'm back in business. Now, emergency reloads for me, my grip does break a little bit. So my fingers do kind of offset a little bit, and I've released my magazine and then I'm going back. So I have an extra movement when I'm doing emergency reloads. I'm kind of getting to the point where I can use my index finger too and drop it without breaking my grip. So I try to do that sometimes, but that's why we do dry fire, to practice those things and see what works for us. And then whatever works best, that's most efficient we will use that. Get with somebody that you know, or watch videos, or whatever you need to do to make sure, okay, this is what I should be doing, so you can kind of get into a habit of good habits, not bad habits that you're going to reinforce that you need to break later. All right, so now I'm gonna do a couple emergency reloads. I'm out. So I'm out. Boom. No, I'm out. Like that. I'm out. Boom, I'm out. Out. All right, so for the last and final drill, we're gonna put it all together. So I wanna practice on my draw, my sight picture, my transition, and I'm gonna reload, transition back, okay? Reholster. Try to put a little pressure on yourself. Now, again, if it gets sloppy, it gets weird, or I'm just, pushing and doing all that stuff, slow down. Slow yourself down. You're just trying to put them together, right? And you can speed up as I'm able to do the right motion. All right, so this is what I'm doing to get better at shooting without using any ammo, and it is translating every time I hit the range. So if you're serious about getting better as a shooter, I highly recommend doing some dry fire, man. This is the best thing that you can do. You're gonna dry fire way more than you do any kind of live fire, and you will see it translate once you get on the range and you start shooting live and you start putting rounds on target. But if you're rocking with this type of content, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video. And also let me know if there are any kind of drills that you typically do in dry fire, or if there's anything that you learned from this video. And let me know what you want to see on the next video, man. So until next time, man, we out. Thanks for tuning in.